check the old Twitter.
I'm refreshing YouTube. We are live on YouTube. Zapstream. We are live on Zapstream. Beautiful. Look at this. Just X or Twitter to confirm. We're live on Twitter as well.
We're getting good at this, mate.
We are
Scarily
indeed.
good.
Yeah, obviously we'll do a little bit of small talk just to let people roll in. If this one goes without a hitch from a technical perspective, I will be amazed. Because I'm hosting the stream from a hotel room in Riga, having landed about like 2 hours ago. So it's been a bit of a hectic day really. Began for me with a 2:30 a.m. alarm, which was a delight. Flew in via Amsterdam. Had about an hour delay coming out of Amsterdam on the way to Riga.
Got absolutely blasted in Amsterdam, then jumped on another plane.
Yeah, I wish. No, I had like a 1 hour 30 layover, which
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever flown through Amsterdam airport, but that's about as tight as it gets, really.
Yeah.
But luckily with the delay, I actually had more time than I anticipated. But obviously, you can't plan for that. On the way home, it's going to be a different story. I'll do some live tweeting and noting on that one because I've got a 55-minute transfer on the way home on Monday. So visions of me running through Schiphol Airport on Monday morning to try and meet my connection flight back to Manchester. I'm not holding out much hope as to whether I'm going to make it or not. But I mean, in theory, it must be possible because they wouldn't have sold me the flight otherwise. But who knows?
They might have just done it for a laugh, just to see. They'd just be watching you sprint through.
Let's just completely fuck with this robot, yeah, and just see, yeah, just picture him, his spindly little legs, pedaling himself through Schiphol Airport. But
What was
irrespective,
that?
go
What
on.
was that? What was that cartoon where it's like, there's like the Roadrunner. You look like
Oh, road,
Roadrunner running through.
yeah, that will literally be me at like, I've got a
Yeah,
pretty early flight back out on Monday, so it'll probably be me at like 9 or 10 a.m. in Schiphol Airport trying to make my connection
I
flight to
like
get
it.
back home. But yeah, so coming to you live from a very, very rainy and dismal looking Riga. Haven't had a chance to see any of the city yet. I literally legged it out of the hotel, got an Uber straight to the hotel, grabbed some food because I've not eaten for a few hours, which is a long time for me. Did some prep for the live stream, and here we are. It's been a busy old morning, mate. How's things with you?
Uh, less hectic actually. Managed to get everyone out of the house relatively early today. Settled myself into the sofa here, and yeah, got a coffee on. Feeling
Nice.
relaxed.
Yeah,
Looking forward to recording.
I've just had like I think it's my fifth coffee of the day. What are we
Oh,
on here?
nice.
Yeah, it's 4 p.m. local time, 5 coffees deep. I'm sure I'm probably still going to crash and burn come
Yeah,
come like 8 p.m. early start. So I mean, I'm no stranger to an early start, but I think this was
two's
exceptionally
quite
early.
early.
Yes, it was indeed. We should also mention that there's only two voices on this stream so far. Seth is not
Mm,
going to be with us today due to some family commitments, which he can discuss those at a later date. But yeah, just the two of us flying solo. I think I was thinking about this earlier when I just sat grabbing some food like 30 minutes ago. We've probably done more Freedom Tech Fridays with just two of us than we have with all of us together since we started. It's like Seth said on the last one, it's been just really terrible timing when you start things in the summer holidays, I guess.
yeah, there's been. Sorry, I got distracted there. I had a message from an absolute lunatic just blowing me up with a billion questions, and I let my eyes go across, so I missed that. And then I did a pretend laugh to act as if I could hear what you said. You have to repeat that bit. I've just got to be honest.
No problem, no problem. We can move on from it. It was nothing of any substance, but I suppose I should do the intro stuff. We've been waffling here, and in case you can't
Yeah,
tell, guys, I'm a bit tired. So I'm hoping Max is going to bring the energy here and carry us
I'll
through.
bring the
But
energy.
just checking the live stream.
Come
Hello to
on, mate.
Jordan. Good day, mate. I'm not sure where the Australian thing is coming from, unless that's a different Jordan. And also hello to BTC Wrestle. Nice to have you with us in the YouTube live chat.
Welcome.
Yeah, if this is your first time listening, welcome to Freedom Tech Friday. This is our weekly live stream where we go live on Twitter, Noster, and on the YouTubes. Oh, look at that. I'm a terrible podcaster. My phone's going off.
Why?
My phone's going off. I didn't put it on mute. I'll never
Oh,
get
yeah, that's
the
rookie.
podcaster crown, will I? It's on mute now, anyway. Or one of my
Okay.
phones, should I say, one of many. Um, and yeah, welcome to Freedom Tech Friday. This is a weekly live stream. We go live at 9 a.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Dojo Code, it's in the chat. Nice to see you, Pavel. Thanks for stopping
Oh,
along.
hello, mate.
Yeah, nice to see you first time in the live chat, but nice to have you here, mate. Yeah, we go live every Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. UK time, or if you're in Riga, like I am, it's currently 4 p.m. And yeah, unacceptable queue. Yeah, apologies, BTC Wrestle. I'm a little. I can't even say I'm jet lagged. I'm just tired.
Just tired.
I'm just a
Just old and
tired guy.
tired.
Yeah, old and tired. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
feeling it at the moment. Freedom Tech Friday is our live stream chat where we cover off the latest and greatest, or not so greatest, as today's topic is going to be, much the same as last week, where we keep you up to date on the things that are happening in the freedom tech industry. That might be Bitcoin, might be Monero, might be just anything that's freedom tech related that is related to your kind of online and digital sovereignty. Essentially, we kind of cover that sort of stuff. We usually kick off the show with a news topic. This week will be the same as last week's. We're talking about the Tornado Cash result, as we now have a verdict. And then the second part of the show, we talk about, well, we take some listener questions. We have lots of questions posted ahead of time from people responding on Twitter and on Noster to our posts. So thank you so much to everybody that does post those. You are a big part of the chat. A big part of the show. I've got a list as long as my arm of things that we have to kind of get through. We're never going to get through them all. And obviously, we also have a live chat. You can comment on Twitter, you can comment on YouTube, or you can post in the Nostal live chat as well. If you have any questions for us, anything Freedom Tech related is fair game. And yeah, we will always prioritise the people that are kind enough to join us in the live chat
Yeah.
to post their questions, and then we'll get to the ones that are posted ahead of time after that. Now, before we dive into the Tornado Cash stuff, Max, I believe we have a prize available for the live stream attendees this week.
That's right. We have an incredible prize this week. An incredible prize from Jordan. So thank you very much, Jordan. This time on Freedom Tech Friday, we are giving away a Watchman Torch subscription. So that's Gabriel Custodiate from Watchman Privacy with his Watchman Torch. It's I think a bi-weekly newsletter, isn't it? Um, Everyone that I've spoken to who has read through this and subscribed to it absolutely loves it. I hear so many good things about it. So I think the value of this, or at least the pricing of this, is about $200. The value, I don't think you can put a value on freedom. So for anyone who is listening and would like to get your hands on that, all you need to do is share the stream when it goes live. So if you haven't already shared it, you need to do that now. You need to comment in the live chat, and you need to send in an XMR chat, which you can use XMR, BTC, or USDT. So if you follow those 3 steps, you are entered in, and we will. Do we choose? We choose live, won't we?
Uh,
Live questions.
yeah, as long as we were able to validate that they've ticked all the boxes. I'm sure I know Jordan's in the live chat, so I know he's listening live. So hopefully he can assist
He
to
can
double.
check.
He can double check. He can do the producer thing and check that the best question has met
Yeah.
all the criteria. But yeah, go on, carry on.
Well, we can trust rather than verify, and then if someone lies, we just do them in. Let's do it that way.
Yeah, we are coming round to your house and we're going to verify you personally.
We will, yeah. So just be honest. But yeah, incredible prize. Thank you very much to Jordan for organising that, and also to the Watchman Torch and to Gabriel for putting out such a great newsletter
And a great podcast.
and a great podcast and a great guy, friend of the show.
He is a great guy, friend of the show. Speaking of friends of the show, we've also got Dad's in the live stream. He's commented on Twitter. Hi, John.
Ah, hey pups.
As is Observer in the Nostal live chat as well. Thanks for stopping by, friend.
Yeah, thank you.
Right, now we've got the formalities out of the way, mate. Shall we dive into the news topic of the week? Tornado Cash once again.
Yeah, let's get into it. I wish that there wasn't two horrible things running side by side at the same time and like 2 weeks back to back with all the samurai stuff and this, but it is
You're
what it is. I
right.
guess we have to dive into it. Like you said, we like this whole show is about using freedom tech and trying to enrich your life using it, and that's pushing one way, but there's always the other force, the dark force, pushing the other way, trying to take your freedoms away and take the freedoms away of the people that try and give you freedom, and we need to cover that too. So yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, indeed. It's been quite the fortnight really for freedom tech enthusiasts, and not a great one if I'm being honest. Obviously, we covered off the samurai. Well, it's not really a verdict, is it? The guys, understandably, kind of played their cards. They took the plea, which we covered off the details of last week. If you don't know what we're talking about, go ahead and listen back after this on the Ungovernable podcast feed. You can get yourselves fully up to speed on that. As we recorded last week, the jury was out for deliberation on the Tornado Cash case, so that was kind of left as an open-ended story essentially. And this week we have found, or the jury did come to a verdict on the 3 different accounts of which Roma Storm was charged of. We can go into whether or not we see this as a positive or a negative maybe afterwards, once I've covered off the basics, because I'm sure there's some hot takes from me, from you, and from the people in the live chat as well. As I'm keen to get the thoughts of the people in the live chat to see how they see this as well. I'm going to be giving you a bit of an info on the results of the case. Once again, huge shout out for the people or the guys at the Rage.co. The coverage that they've done of both of these cases, the Samurai case and the Tornado Cash case, has been outstanding. They are, they don't have any sponsorships, they don't have any official funding. These guys, do this, I guess, out the goodness of their hearts. Obviously, they are available to take domains. Jesus Christ, I'm tired. They are available to take donations.
Donations.
Indeed, thank you. The rage.co/donate, I believe. Urge people to go and support their work, because they are doing really good things over there and making sure that the industry is aware of, essentially, reporting back that we're all under attack, albeit somewhat indirectly for most people listening to this, but it is an attack nonetheless. So yeah, the guilty, Jesus Christ. Wow.
You're all right, mate. You're all right.
I'm going to get there. I'm, like I say, coffee number 5 is going to hit in a minute, and hopefully I'll be able to speak properly. The jury found Roma Storm guilty of unlicensed money transmission conspiracy this week. So after nearly a 4-week proceeding, the jury has found the Tornado Cash co-founder Roman Storm guilty on 1 count of conspiracy to operate an unlicensed money transmitting business under 18 US Criminal Code Section 1960. But this is a very interesting point. The jury could not reach a decision on the charges of conspiracy to commit money laundering, and the other charge was to violate US sanctions. So the result on those 2 counts is essentially, I believe it's just considered a mistrial. So before we kind of jump to celebrate that they weren't found guilty on those 2 counts, What that means, if I understand correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Max, is that whilst, yes, obviously the jury did not find him guilty of conspiracy to commit money laundering or to violate US sanctions, that doesn't mean he's completely out of the woods for those two charges. The effective mistrial or the inability of the jury to come to a unanimous decision on whether or not he's guilty against those charges means that yes, he's not found guilty of them yet, but the Southern District of New York, the people who are the prosecutors in this case, can, if they choose to do so, try him again at another trial on those counts. We have no idea whatsoever as to whether they will pursue that or whether they'll just kind of sit back and take the result that we're going to go into in a second as a kind of as a win and just let the case rest. So what Roman Storm was found guilty of, the 1960 count, the kind of conspiracy to operate an unlicensed money transmission, carries a maximum sentence of 5 years. I believe sentencing is going to take place around the same time as the Samurai developers, which will be in around October. Although that's just conjecture at the moment. I've not seen anything in writing to confirm when those dates are. But given that this was tried in the same jurisdiction, that and the case obviously happening at around the same sort of time as the Samurai devs case was taking place, that inevitably the decision or the sentencing, the official sentencing, will take place around the same time. If that becomes clear, obviously we'll report back afterwards. But the TLDR here is he was found guilty on one of the three counts. It carries a maximum prison sentence of 5 years. And one thing that, clearly I was feeling a bit dejected after this because I don't want to see open source developers under fire at all, or even face potential prison sentence, which both of them are of up to 5 years. I saw this, potentially as a little bit of a win, because it could have been much worse. That doesn't mean to say that I'm happy that he's only been charged guilty of one of the counts. And the other thing that I'm kind of positive on, or maybe I'm reading too much into this, and keen to get your feedback here as well, but the fact that the jury didn't kind of quickly say, oh yeah, he's guilty of the other two charges, the sanctions evasion and the money laundering charges, means that whilst I was very pessimistic around the ability of essentially just common people who are probably
Normal people, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They're not familiar with how crypto works, with how Tornado Cash works, to be specific, that they didn't just see what the prosecutor said and jump to a knee-jerk decision of, oh look, he's got a washing machine T-shirt on, and he clearly has an ulterior motive here. Let's find him guilty. So, looking at the positives of this, I think I think that is a positive. Again, we're not out of the woods yet because this could go back to trial for those two counts. That is TBC at the moment. And the other positive that I drew from this was that I saw one of the news reports. It wasn't from The Rage, I believe. It was one of the other ones whose name is eluding me at the moment, who managed to grab a quick comment from Roman Storm after the case where, and I'm paraphrasing here, I don't have the tweet from the reporter in front of me, but they got a quick comment from Roman Storm, and he essentially says something to the effect of, yeah, I'm feeling positive. The charge that he was found guilty of, he believes it to be bullshit, and they're going to appeal it and they're going to fight it. Now, whether or not I have no idea how successful that appeal is going to be, but the main positive I'm drawing from that is that the spirit that Roman Storm is showing here. He's got the weight of the US government leaning down on him, and he had the wherewithal to be not joking about it, but being kind of upbeat enough to be like, yeah, this is bullshit. We're gonna fight it. So I'm trying to look at the positives here, but also being cognizant of the potential negatives that could come down the pipe later on. And
They haven't broken his spirit.
Yeah, indeed, that's a great way to summarize it. But yeah, I'm gonna shut up for a minute and just see what your thoughts are.
Well, yeah, I mean, similar. The fact they haven't broken his spirit is a big one, because as you say, having them lean on you is no fun at all. Like unimaginable stress that comes from that. So just shows how tough him and Samurai have been through all of this. Like to go through all of it and come out the other side is very very painful thing to go through, and to do that with a smile on your face is pretty incredible. And yeah, like you say, with the jury, that is a big one because bullshit baffles brains, and if you have a slick lawyer up there trying to act as if these people are criminals and doing something wrong, it's easy to point at some basic stuff that could baffle people. But the fact that they've actually sat through and they've understood the basics of it enough to at least not make a unanimous like guilty, that is more than I expected as well. So I think that's really good. I think that at least there's like a bit of a message is going out there that it's like that was unstoppable code. That was something that couldn't be controlled, and that it's just a tool, effectively. So I think that's definitely positive. When it comes to all the legal stuff and what can be appealed and what can't be appealed and all the rest of it and how likely things are, I have no fucking idea. So I'm not even going to pretend that I have an opinion on that. But just wish him all the best, and we'll keep covering it, and keep covering all the ways to keep some freedom and keep some privacy with all this shit going on, and try and not let it sort of get the focus of all of our attention, because it's, whichever way you look at it, it's not great. It's not positive stuff.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. And the other thing I'm kind of torn on here, and Dojo Coders in the YouTube chat here, put it quite eloquently that it's not exactly the same result as the Samurai case, because this is a jury verdict. Roman has and has confirmed that he's going to has the opportunity to appeal this. So all is not
Hmm.
lost in terms of the charge that he was found guilty of, the unlicensed money transmission. So that's the kind of positive side of things. The negative side of things, and this is where I put my tinfoil hat on a little bit, is that if he doesn't appeal, or that he appeals and then doesn't win the appeal, the kind of legal precedent that is set here, where we've said this once again, I'm going to repeat myself here because it's prudent to do so, is that he's found guilty of unlicensed money transmission, despite it being, just like Samurai, a non-custodial tool where Tornado Cash and Samurai had zero control of any user funds at any point.
Hmm.
They both followed the FinCEN guidance of, they are not custodial. They don't control user funds. So FinCEN, the actual kind of regulator for this portion of the industry, deemed them to not be or cannot be licensed as a money transmitter, but the jury still found him guilty of unlicensed money transmission. So if I'm kind of looking at it through a negative lens, like, that could set a very dangerous precedent here where, yes, Samurai and Tornado Cash were both, I guess, privacy focused software. The main crux of, or the main, why you would use that tool is to improve your privacy when you're using Ethereum or Bitcoin. They followed all the guidance. FinCEN was even consulted by the prosecution in at least one of the cases with the Tornado Cash. I'm not sure whether they were in the Samurai case as well, but that was not able to be included into the case itself, or into the trial, should I say, which is absolutely abhorrent if you ask me. Like, these guys did all they could in terms of following the
Mm.
guidance from the regulator within the industry, and they're still, in the Tornado Cash case, a jury has still found them guilty of that, which it's difficult for me to wrestle with, because, like, what more could they have done in terms of following the rules? And this, in the
It's
Tornado Cash case, he's still being found guilty.
it's classic. Like, it's what we've said for so many years, though, isn't it? It's like with the legal system, they own the pens, they own the ink, and they own the hands that move them, and they can make them move any way they want. And this is why you use the tech rather than trying to rely on legal systems, because they'll do whatever the fuck they want. Whatever they want, that's what happens. I mean, at the end of the day, you're relying on a system that does not want you to be free. It's why most of us are here. They do not want you to have privacy. They do not want you to have freedom. They do not want you to have money that doesn't devalue. They do not want you to have any of the things that we had 100 years ago, any of the freedoms we had. They do not want you to have a strong family. They do not want you to have any of the things that you should have as a human being. And um, you can't rely on these systems to keep you free. And that's why it's so important for all of this freedom tech. But the people who are popping their heads up and building it are putting themselves under immense amounts of risk and stress and everything else, as we can see here. So um, it's for everyone who cares about this to support them, fund them, do what we can, and go about it sensibly as well. Because otherwise, this tiny little corner of the internet, which is getting smaller and smaller, even in the Bitcoin Twitter world, it's like there's only a few of us who seem to actually care, and everyone else is going off and using ETFs and just caring about NGU and making stupid little fucking dance videos on Twitter and whatever else they're doing and thinking they're changing the world, and they're not. The people who are put in fucking courtrooms and handcuffs and treated like criminals, and it's disgusting. So I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but it's just a bit pissed off with the whole thing. It's yeah, you can't rely on legal systems basically.
Yeah, good summary. There's two final things I want to say just to wrap up this portion of the show. Really, is that number one, obviously, Roman Storm is committed to fight this and to appeal the guilty charge. That's gonna cost a shit ton of money. So he's obviously going to need help and funding to be able to fight that, because I'm sure, and I'm not 100% certain on this, but I'm sure all of his or most of his assets would have been in cryptocurrency and have probably been frozen, and he's not able to use them in any legal proceedings, just like with the samurai case. So please, like if you consider yourself even 1% of a kind of freedom tech and sovereignty kind of enthusiast, please, look to assist the funding of that appeal via the links that hopefully Jordan's going to be able to drop into the show notes for us after this. I don't have the links to hand, but yeah, consider donating to the Roma Storm case so that he can continue to fight this appeal, or fight the guilty verdict with the appeal. And yeah, the final piece as well, which again you could look at as a very, very minor positive, is that the prosecution in this case actually moved to try and remand Roman Storm until he was sentenced, which could be another couple of months, as we've mentioned earlier in the show. Naturally, the defence fought that and said that there's absolutely no reason for this guy to be remanded in prison while he's awaiting sentence, especially given that they're going to appeal that. Thankfully, the judge she leant on the side of the defence and agreed that Roma Storm is not a flight risk. He's attended all of the hearings, all of the trial dates, etc., and she didn't deem it proper to remand him into custody whilst he's awaiting the sentencing. So at least he's able to be with his family whilst he's undoubtedly going through an immense amount of turmoil. But I guess he can take solace in the fact that he's around his family at least for the next couple of months.
Yeah, well, shout out to him and his family, and Samurai and his family, and T Dev and his family, and huge respect to everyone who's put in all this work for so many years to help other people be free. And we're all sending love to you. Should we jump into some maybe more positive stuff, some things that we can control, some comments, some questions? Give a little bit of a pushback, a bit of a fight back.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's try and spin this into somewhat of a positive. Quick reminder before I dive into the pre-submitted questions: if you are in the live chat on Twitter, Noster, or on YouTube, and you have some comments around the Tornado Cash case or the Samurai case, or any topics related to anything
All
to do with
right,
Freedom Tech,
everything looks
then
good
please
locally,
do
so let's just do the.
please do drop those into the live chat, and we'll jump on those and let those take priority. In the meantime, we have a couple of questions. One was pre-submitted, ironically, by somebody that is in the live chat. It comes from BTC Wrestle. Thank you for your question. It is related to what we've just been talking about. BTC Wrestle commented on Nosta and they asked, is there any implications from the Tornado Cash trial for LSPs, Lightning Service Providers, and Lightning Node runners due to, quote, money transmission?
Mm.
I'll take the first swing at this one. Ultimately, the TLDR answer is we have no idea. If I, again, trying to be positive here, my guess is that they probably won't actively, or at least in the short term, they probably won't target people that aren't kind of whose main business is to try and give users privacy on whichever chain or type of cryptocurrency that they're dealing with, which was essentially what Samurai Wallet, or more specifically Whirlpool and Tornado Cash, was for. I struggle to wrestle with the fact that they're going to go out and do that. I might be completely wrong, and maybe I'm trying to look at this too optimistically. If I was pushed a little bit more, I would say that, yeah, LSPs are clearly going to be more at risk than, Lightning Node runners like you or I or anybody listening to this, because they're very different, aren't they? LSPs are centralized entities who are making money. It is their business to, I guess, essentially relay transactions, but it's not, strictly speaking, the main reason that they do that is to give users privacy. That is kind of like a byproduct of using something like, I don't know, the Zeus LSP or the Phoenix LSP, is that because of some of the Lightning Network's properties, you can, again, there's a lot of asterisks and caveats around that with Lightning, as we always mention. So it's not out of the realms of possibility that they could target LSPs. I just don't think they're going to be in the regulators' crosshairs as the next target. I think if I was to put my ugly regulators hat on, there's probably much more lower hanging fruit for those sorts of people than going after somebody like Phoenix who operates an LSP. But what do you think, Max?
I'd agree. No, I would totally agree. I mean, it's pretty like open and obvious, and they're a business and they can go and knock on their door and all that kind of stuff. Like there are many, like you say, lower hanging fruit, and definitely lower hanging fruit than actual node runners running your own nodes at home or wherever else. That's I'm not saying that's not going to happen. Who fucking knows? But I think if you are using Lightning, that would be the way to go. And you know, I think you're not at any sort of risk at this point in time. Like there's nothing to say that you shouldn't be doing that. So I wouldn't personally be worried.
Yeah, indeed. And in terms of like practicalities, focusing in on Lightning Node runners, just like plebs like you and I, the practicality of targeting those types of people, like
It's a lot
90%
of
of nodes,
resources.
yeah, exactly. 90% of nodes are ran behind Tor. They're not like an advertised service. If you get a couple of sats via routing,
Yeah,
say you've got a channel to Phoenix or something like that, and another pleb routes their transaction through you, or for whatever reason you earn two sats as a routing fee. Like, it's almost impossible to be able to be specifically targeted in that kind of arena. I would say.
yeah, and it's also you're looking at like volumes. There's about £7 on Lightning on the whole network. So I just don't see that is, and it's very centralized what there is on there as well. So they would hit the more centralized, the bigger entities first. It's game whack-a-mole. They're going to go for the big things first. And yeah, you know, earning a couple of sats and then spending a couple of sats, and you're doing that on your Raspberry Pi in your cupboard or whatever. It's like, nah, I don't think so.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. Thanks for your question, BT Wrestle. That was a good one and very aligned with what we've been talking about over the course of the past couple of weeks. Also, somewhat aligned as well. Again, apologies if I pronounce your handle wrong, but Zeka Boy.
Zaka boy, yeah.
Yeah, their quote is obviously, with the persecution of Tornado Cash and Samurai devs, anonymity is a must, as is decentralization. Now the Ashigaru team have stepped up and taken the baton. Could we push for smaller denominations in the terminal? 0.025 or 2.5 million sats as a minimum is too rich for most plebs, which is probably why there is just 18 BTC whirling about. Also, is there plans for a more organised and easily accessible launch for personal nodes? Smaller denominations and easier access to running the new whirlpool will surely benefit privacy adoption. Max, if you could take the
Can I
first
take
one.
this one?
Yeah, I'm just going to
Yeah.
quickly run for a piss. So give me 60 seconds while you fill some dead air for me.
So professional. I love that. Yeah, I think we've covered this quite extensively about the denominations. They've gone for the larger denominations, I think, at least, so that they don't have loads of support questions and things like that, as people who maybe have been around and have some Whirlpool post mix that they want to put back through, all that kind of stuff. Um, but that is just me speculating, because we don't know how big their team is and what they can handle. Um, my suggestion would be for people is, if you want the smaller denominations and be able to mix on the way down, you can do that, but you just do that outside of Ashigaru. So you might do that with like swaps into Monero or something like that, or you just wait until those come about. If people want to mix smaller amounts at the moment, obviously it would be nice, but I'd rather see a team deliver and deliver well, and that's what they've done. We don't know how much funding they have. We don't know how many people are involved. I'm sure they're doing everything they can. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. And then when it comes to making it easier to run nodes, I mean, we had Jordan on last week. He's put a huge amount of work in so that people can run a dojo on a start 9. He also put in a huge amount of work, and others as well. So shout out to everyone who was involved. But he's been my obviously point of contact for all of this stuff, and he's also made it so that the Ashigaru terminal can run there as well. So that's running all the time. It's very simple to use. It's simple enough that I did it on a phone call when it went live with Jordan on a podcast and mixed, and it worked. So like, if I can do it, literally any fucking person listening to this can do it. So, I think we've come a really long way. Huge amount of respect to that team for doing all
Yeah.
of this, especially with everything that we're talking about. You're much braver than me. And yeah, I think the fact that we have it available, with all the darkness that we see, like, that is a shining light of like, wow, here are some people who are willing to stand up and fight, and they've made something incredible. I've had no problems with so far. It's been very, very good. And just don't expect too much too quickly, is all I would say. Like, there are tools out there. If you want to do smaller denominations, there are other ways. But obviously, the larger amounts that you put in, then the less you're going to pay on fees anyway, or as a percentage of what you put in. So yeah, it swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, I don't really have anything major to add there other than obviously I have no direct line into the Ashigaru team, whoever they may be, but I was going to say it's nascent software, but like Whirlpool's been around for quite a while, but it's a nascent team. They're clearly, and understandably acting in a slow and steady type of way. And I don't doubt that if their ecosystem and their kind of, I guess, I guess their ecosystem continues to grow and stand the test of time, that the user base will grow and that demand will continue to increase, and the smaller pools will come in time, which will
Hmm.
obviously, without a doubt, add to or improve the availability to plebs who don't have millions and millions of sats floating around and they just want to get some
Hmm.
privacy. But yeah, as you said, there's already software available, albeit side loaded through Start9. It just, again, I don't want to use the cringe term of we're early in terms of Ashigaro, but it's kind of true. You just gotta, let the team do what they do. We're living in very uncertain terms with regards to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency privacy. So just let them
Yeah.
do what they do and support in any which way that you can, I guess.
Yeah, doing things like this, which are not easy, when everything's sunshine and rainbows, is one thing, but when there's real risk and you're being hunted and attacked constantly, um, that's a completely different story. And when you're not public and people don't see your face and you're not taking funding and VC money and all the other stuff, things just they move a little bit slower. It's just how it is. They don't have social media. They don't have any of that kind of stuff, which helps promote and bring more money in and would probably help them be able to develop faster. And when they do put something out, they have to be extremely careful because not only are they hunted by regulators and law enforcement and everything like that, they're also constantly under attack by a load of fucking retards on Twitter, questioning everything that they do, trying to create FUD. They have to be ready and have everything in order so that they can respond and um, point out what is fair and what isn't fair. And so it's just a constant battle for that team all the time. So yeah, we'll think more will come, but I'm very very happy with what I've seen so far.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for your question, Zika boy. Next one comes from Jin, who is part of the hashtag 40 hours per week crowd. I can't remember whether this one came on via Twitter or Nostr. I know he's on both. But his question is, I'm going to let you take this one first, Max, is I'm curious on each of your paths. Let's say you have a close friend who you finally convinced to be more private and sovereign. Where do you tell them to start? Is it buying a Pixel and installing Graphene OS? Or is it buying KYC BTC and then using Whirlpool? Or is it a place like local Bitcoins or into the mining space? So a very wide ranging question here, but like what's your if you're trying to I don't want to say orange pill because this isn't specifically a Bitcoin question,
Yeah.
but if you're trying to kind of freedom tech pill one of your friends, like where do you tell them to start?
Honestly, like none of that. Mine would be if I had a friend who genuinely understood, like, okay, there is at least there is a need for some privacy and there's a need for some money that can be used like cash. It would be in my situation, look, if you want some, come to me, I'll sell you some because I've always got to eat and pay for family stuff and whatever else. And um, I would sell them Bitcoin and I would do it for cash. And I would, the biggest thing I would teach them is not go and get a Pixel and go and download this app and go and get all technical. It would be have this, shut up, don't talk to anyone. Just shut up, buy it from me, be quiet. That's it. That's the number one advice. Like all this other privacy stuff, half the stuff that I've done in the past using different software and applications and jumping through hoops and trying to buy KYC and then that's a mistake and then trying to whirlpool it and now that could be a problem because of X and Y, like, and jumping through hoops. It's all it's all a fucking stressful thing to get involved in. The number one thing is buy with cash, shut up. That's it.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to kind of summarize it is like keeping it simple because it's very very easy to get overwhelmed when you come into this sovereignty space because you see a million and one things and you see like turbo nerds like us talking about all sorts of stuff like Pixels, Graphene, Whirlpool, Join Market, Lightning, Monero, yada yada yada. Like if you see all that and like that's enough to turn anybody off straight away, especially if they're
Yeah.
coming from very much like with 2 feet in the normie world where they've got their MacBook and they use Gmail and all the typical stuff like so for me I guess well obviously co-sign everything that Max just said. If I was to be more specific and say I'm going to give one answer for Bitcoin stuff and then give one answer for more kind of sovereignty stuff, the Bitcoin one would be other than just like offering to sell them their first sats, obviously that goes without saying, would be to just try out like just a non-custodial app. Just get used to handling some private keys. Doesn't need to be a hardware wallet. It could just be a non-custodial wallet like Envoy or Ashigaru or Sparrow or Cake Wallet or anything like that. Just get used to being sovereign in terms of holding your own money, and have them go through the recovery process, because that is the light bulb moment for a lot
Oh
of
yeah,
people.
that's a good
Is
one.
they receive some sats on, say, Envoy, and then they punch these 12 words into Cake Wallet, and it's like, holy shit, the money just turned up, and these two apps are like completely unrelated, and I didn't have to do anything other than type these two words in. If you can get some quick wins like that, I always find that it really helps people feel like they've achieved something and then want to take that next step. So that would be my kind of Bitcoin answer. And then in
Yeah.
terms of the more broader, I guess, just digital or online sovereignty, would be not even getting them to like switch operating system. Like, let's be honest, most people in the Western world, they're probably going to have an iPhone, or even if they've just got an Android phone, it's probably going to be like a Samsung with all of the spyware in there. I wouldn't even
Yeah.
say, oh, you need to go and buy this phone and install this software. I'd just be like, okay, what's the one thing that you want to be more private in your general digital life? And most people are going to be like, oh, my web browsing or my messaging. I just be like, okay, well, go and download Signal. And instead of you and
Yeah.
I chatting on, I don't know, Facebook Messenger or something, let's use Signal. It's end-to-end encrypted. It's really, really easy to use. It works off your
Yeah.
phone number in a private way. And you can, drastically improve your, I guess, I don't know how to call it, but your kind of message-based privacy. And it's an easy win, because if you pick the right app, and Signal's a great example of this, then it's not going to be hard for even the normiest of normies to just put their phone number into Signal and start messaging people. Like, the UI is essentially the same as
Yeah.
WhatsApp or anything like that, but it's much, much more private. And yeah, we've got
Yeah.
a great comment from BT Wrestle here in the YouTube chat. Is delete your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. is a good first step for normies privacy wise. Whilst I agree, that's probably a step too far for most people, because all of the apps that you just mentioned are where they spend most of their digital life. So just telling them to delete those without having a replacement, again, might be too much and might be enough to turn those people off. And yeah, Absurdian is also in the YouTube chat here. Max agreeing with you. Best advice: STFU, apply to everything. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's one you learn over time.
yeah, it's honestly, it's a superpower, especially when you start
Yeah.
getting into the Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency industry or ecosystem, and not necessarily even working in it, just like holding some funds. Like, it's a superpower just keeping your gob shut. Like, that is one of
Yeah.
the biggest privacy tools you can ever have, is that the fewer people that know you have Bitcoin or similar, the better. You just protect
Yeah.
yourself from so much shit by just not spouting off about stuff. Before we move on to
If you
this
get good
question,
enough at it, you don't even know you have it yourself
yeah, indeed,
after
indeed.
enough years.
Yeah. Before we move on from this question, because it is a really good one, I'm going to kick this one back to you. I gave two answers, one for Bitcoin or cryptocurrency and one for kind of digital sovereignty in terms of like a singular app. On the sovereignty one, other than Signal, obviously, because I've mentioned that, what other one would you think would be similar to that you could think, okay, just go and download this and just, you'll get a marked improvement and it's not going to be a massive hurdle? Is there anything else that's kind of springing to mind?
One app?
Yeah, or a couple of apps. So what springs to your mind in terms of
I'd
this would
probably
be?
say get a VPN.
Yeah, that's exactly where the path I was leading you down. Thank you. Go on, elaborate.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'd probably say get a VPN. I like Mulvad. I think it's really good. You can pay in Bitcoin. I'd probably say, look, I'll sell you some Bitcoin for cash. That pays for my diesel. Lovely jubbly. Now you have some Bitcoin. Now let's use it, because that's what it's for at the end of the day. Why don't you get a Mulvad subscription? I think you can pay, every sort of 30 days, or you can do small amounts. So there's your first test. And now just have that on your phone and your laptop, and suddenly you're in a much better position or most likely to be in a much better position than you previously were for not a lot of money. I would say that's a good one. And one final thing, which isn't really, uh, it's not an app and it's not like Bitcoin specific, but I would say when you are getting someone involved in this stuff, be clear about who you're speaking to and what they really want, and make sure that they're clear about what they really want as well, because Bitcoin used correctly and privately is very different to Bitcoin that's like whitelisted and in the Coinbase slash banking ecosystem. They're very, very different and they don't play nicely together. So be clear that there are these two different groups, and be clear that, great, if you want to be very private and you want to use Whirlpool and you want to bounce between lightning channels and you want to buy in cash and you don't want to have receipts and you want it to be off the books, understand that that is different to you sat there going, oh, one day I want to buy a Lambo and I'm going to hold this and I'm going to be all private now, but I want to buy the Lambo. Because good fucking luck buying your Lambo with these sats that you've had through Whirlpool and everything else. Because when you go to the dealership and you want to cash out your Bitcoin for dollars, you're going to have AML, KYC, where's the funds from? You can't buy it. You're not part of our club. They are totally, totally different. So, if anything, and people maybe get annoyed by me saying this, but have two different pools. If you want some that's investment and you want to buy some stuff in the real world that really matters, cars and houses and whatever else that's like has to be AML, it's got to be different. And if you want to operate in the Bitcoin world, that's a separate thing as well. They don't cross. You can't go back and forth easily. They're different worlds.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Thanks for your question, Jin. That was a really good one. Next one, and this one comes from one of the previous shows because it's quite far down my list. It comes from Liberty Tools. What are your plans for an internet where all of the major platforms slowly lock us out for failing to use KYC? This question feels very pertinent, especially for me, usually sat in the UK at the moment with all of the online safety act, but is also very applicable to the EU at the moment with the impending chat control. I'm not sure I have a great kind of answer for this one. The first couple of things that spring to mind, and Jordan's going to roll his eyes here, and I'm sure Max is going to as well. Looking at it through the kind of social aspect, and by social I don't just mean Twitter or Twitter similar apps, is Nostr. And I know it's a bit of a Marmite topic for Bitcoiners, especially the freedom or the ungovernable crew. But I genuinely see a time in the not too distant future, again, especially for me as somebody that's in the UK and also pertinent to EU plebs, is where Twitter's just going to turn around and say, look, we need your ID. So is Reddit, so is, all of the traditional platforms. And, me personally, I'm just not willing to do that. And I'm just going to have to go elsewhere. The way I see it right now, the only option I have to kind of interact with the people that I want to interact in a similar sort of fashion is Nostr at the moment. That's not to say that Nostr is perfect, but I can spin up an NSEC, a private key, and I can control that and import that into various different applications. Again, it doesn't have to be something like Primal or Amethyst where it's just a Twitter clone and I can just have a feed. Like the building blocks are there with Nostr and the kind of private key infrastructure that is built on top of for us to have much more. We can have Reddit clones, we can have, I don't know, fucking eBay clones and Facebook clones and forum clones and stuff like that. It's just those things are just not fully built out yet. So I'm hopeful that something like that continues to grow, and I see it as one of the only viable options from a social aspect. If I was to put my super thick tin foil hat on and say, do I need, if we look to the future where I need an ID just to get online, I honestly don't have an answer for how I would react there. I guess the obvious one would be an alternative operating system like Graphene installed on something like a Pixel hardware, where I can then sideload applications so that I can go and use non-backdoored, end-to-end encrypted apps like Signal or something like that, where I can sideload them and I don't have to go through the Play Store, which, inevitably, if that world ever becomes real, that I would also have to, properly KYC and prove who I am. That's one of the only beacons of hope that exists if things get really, really bad. But yeah, Max, I don't know whether you've got anything else tangible to kind of add to that.
Not really. I would say while you wait for all of that magical stuff to be built out, um, try and rely on handshakes and real world conversations and friends and family and people who are there in the real world, or people that you've met in this world and known for a long time. Rely on that, and try and live uh, less online if possible, where possible, um, and communicate that way. I know that's like a bit um, old school, but actually, most of the best conversations you have, most of the best interactions you have, most of the best deals you have, most of the best memories that you have are all offline.
Yeah, that's a great way to cap that question off, to be honest with you, mate. And I'm glad you kind of brought that side of things up. And a great way to segue us out of the show, really, because I've got to head out of the hotel very shortly, is that, go out and meet like-minded freedom tech enthusiasts. I'm here in Riga, and I'm looking forward to seeing some old friends, meeting some new ones, and making some new connections in the real world, so that I can, hopefully for the time being at least, continue those online as well when I go back home to the UK. But the in-person side of things is very, very important, and that's where you make those real connections. But unless you've got anything else, Max, I'm going to bring this one to a close. We're just about coming up on time, and I'm very, very,
Well, we need
very
to.
shocked that we made
Hmm.
it to the end of the hour, thanks to hotel Wi-Fi. But yeah,
Yes, incredible.
we survived. Yeah, once again, Seth, you were missed. Hope to see you back next week. Hope you and the family are well. And
Yeah.
thank you to everybody in the live chat for your comments, and thank you to those that submitted your questions, both in the live chat and ahead of time as well. You guys always keep us kind of, you help keep the show going, and you help us, produce this week after week, albeit not very often with three of us, but hopefully that might change next week.
Giveaway. We have to choose who's the
In
winner of the giveaway.
indeed, I don't know whether Jordan's been keeping an eye on who's met the criteria or not, but maybe you can quickly comment in, and we can fill some dead air for the last minute or two in case he's still online. I'm not sure whether he is.
Yeah, well, while he's having a look, if he isn't, then we'll have to choose afterwards. But while we're waiting for him, what are you looking forward to in Riga most? The
Oh,
thing you're
good
particularly
question.
looking forward to?
Good question. I'm giving a talk on Bitcoin privacy, ironically, tomorrow, early in the morning, so not too much of a heavy night for me. If you are in Riga and you're listening to this live, come and say hello, stop by, come and watch me do my talk. I believe it's on about 10 a.m. I think. With Foundation have also
Okay.
got a booth there, so please feel free, stop by. There's five members of the team. Come and say hello, shoot the shit with us. You can have a play around with Passport Core and Passport Prime, and yeah, just come and have a chat. Other than that, the obvious one, just looking forward to seeing some old friends. Some of
Yeah.
my, a couple of my long-standing Bitcoin friends, as I like to call them, are here. Two of them actually walked past the hotel window that I was sat in when I was prepping for this show, which was weird. They popped in to say hello, so I'm looking forward to seeing them. Spending some time with the
Nice.
team. I inevitably, as I'm going to be manning the booth with the team, I probably won't get to see any talks, unfortunately, which is one of the biggest pain points I have with the show. With the show, Jesus Christ, the tiredness is showing, it is rearing its ugly head again. With conferences, is when I'm there, I'm working. I just don't get to see people talk. So the kind of nightlife and the socializing is where I get to have my outlet. So it'd probably be that, just beers with Bitcoiners.
Very nice. Okay, mate. Well, I hope you have a lovely time out there. I haven't heard anything from Jordan. Oh, hold on. Jordan, he's just messaging me. Let me just see. Just before we close out, he said, "No one won. No XMR chats. Scold the audience."
Oof, you
You,
useless
you
bastards.
useless cunts.
So we're going to
You
roll it over to next
horrible
week.
little. We're going to have to, unfortunately. And we're coming up to the end. I'm going to press my little thing before you cut it. All right? This is the end.
Thanks for coming, guys. See you next week.
Pull the plug in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.